So once again, and just for the record, as soon as I quietly, literally tiptoed into this bathroom 10 minutes ago at right around 10 a.m., today is Thursday, May 8th, 2025, somebody directly below in the bathroom of 76 that has been housing a violent, aggressive, obsessive psycho for years now. I'm not sure if it's the same psycho or consecutive psychos who all behave in a similar fashion. But as soon as I silently sat on this toilet 10 minutes ago, the psycho directly below in 76 started repeatedly slamming something right here, like right below, right here. I don't know if they were hitting their part of the wall like that, or if they were hitting the ceiling below my toilet. But it only happened after I had physically sat my naked ass down on that toilet and was quietly sitting there. I did not make any noise. I had the door closed. The light was off. I literally had tiptoed in here after sitting on my bed having coffee for the last hour and a half. And nobody, especially not anybody one floor down, should have had any knowledge of what I am doing in this bathroom on a moment by moment spontaneous basis as I am doing it, and then reacts in real time violently and aggressively based on what they obviously have knowledge of me doing in the privacy of this bathroom. There's absolutely no reason for anyone to have any knowledge of what I do in this bathroom at any given moment and on a moment by moment basis, but they do. And they like to become violent either behind this wall. So sometimes it's behind this wall, directly against the wall behind my toilet. And sometimes it's from directly below in 76. And as I have mentioned in several prior recent videos, I have seen and heard people going back and forth between 78 and 76 directly below while I was standing in the hallway outside of my door, and they were going back and forth up and down the front stairwell. It's obviously two people who are chronically unemployed and almost never leave the building, and certainly not their units, because even at 3 a.m, as I have reported, when I quietly go into this bathroom to try to use the facility, there's someone smacking the wall behind that toilet. One of these people is Jasmine Irizarry. That is obvious. She has been engaging in the same exact psychotic, dysfunctional, and convoluted pattern of obsessive, psychotic, surveillance-based harassment from the wall behind this bathroom, behind this toilet, from the bathroom behind the wall of this toilet since 2013. So one of those people is still Jasmine Irizarry. No two psychopaths can possibly react spontaneously and violently in the same exact identical manner, consistently based on triggers that I happen to engage in the privacy of my bathroom, consistently for 11 years. That is the same exact person. I have a doctoral level education in clinical developmental psychology. I took an entire year of psych diagnosis and aced that class. You basically have to memorize the entire DSM. I know a psychopath when I have to deal with one on a daily basis. However, the other person is a male, and I often hear loud male grunting and shouting from behind that wall right there. Last week, I kind of went to the door of 78 and thought maybe maintenance was in there because there was a tremendous amount of problems going on with the water to this tap, where the water was coming out in bursts and explosions that were spraying water all over the place. So I went to the door of 78 thinking maintenance was in there, and was about to knock on the door, realized it was locked. So it wasn't maintenance, because maintenance does not lock the door when they're in and out of a unit working on it and they have their equipment out in the hallway and stuff like that. That wasn't maintenance. I did hear Irizarry's voice, or somebody whose voice sounds very much like Irizarry's, in unit 78, not in the bathroom, but right by the door. So she was in there with somebody else, and she's been doing this for 11 years now. She's been in and out of 78 constantly for 11 years, and nobody has seemed to have officially resided in 78 besides Irizarry since 2013. The maintenance group, the Greenville group housed their maintenance manager in Unit 78 for maybe 3 weeks 2 years ago, and then he left very quickly. He didn't last very long. He said his stuff was getting stolen out of that unit, and he called the police. I was there in the hallway when the police showed up and went to 78, where Jorge was telling them that stuff was getting stolen out of his drawers or whatever. So obviously Irizarry had a problem with Jorge being in what she obviously perceives to be her property. And she continues to be housed by the Greenville group in 76 right now, it seems. But she also continues to access 78. And at the same time, there's also a male that's intermittently in there, although there hasn't been anybody in there for 2 days. It's been completely and utterly silent in the bathroom of 78 for 2-3 days now. Today's Thursday. The silence from the bathroom of 78 started Monday. So yeah, 3 days ago. So when the Greenville group tells me there's a nice new tenant living in there, no, there's not, because there has been absolutely not a single person, not a single like iota of noise coming from the bathroom behind this wall for 3 days now. So either they're on vacation or there's not an actual tenant legitimately living in that bathroom. There were no slamming and banging noises from the wall behind this bathroom, from the bathroom behind this wall, rather, 10 minutes ago. But there was somebody violently and repeatedly and deliberately making slamming and banging noises, like right here. So I'm assuming they were like doing this against the wall, and that's exactly what it sounded like. I just called the Greenville group at 10:10, which was 5 minutes ago, and left a voicemail letting them know that the same psychopath who they've been placing in the adjacent units to mine for some strange reason for 11 years now has once again started making repeated violent slamming and banging noises directly below my toilet, only while I'm quietly sitting on that toilet, not at any point before, not at any point after. And obviously, this is entirely surveillance based. And the Greenville group is engaging in deliberate, protracted, and extremely harmful landlord tenant harassment by allowing the use of surveillance devices in this bathroom that they themselves have admitted to using. They're not being all secretive about it. They admitted it, and they told me if I had a problem with them using surveillance devices in this unit, I should go to the police, which I did. And then the police tell me it's not possible. That's a lot of gaslighting right there. And there's a lot of conflicting lies going on there, with the Greenville group blatantly admitting to the use of audio visual surveillance devices in this unit, not just in the bathroom, but throughout the unit. That was confirmed by their maintenance managers, who referred to Jasmine Irizarry as their surveillance expert. Two separate maintenance managers used the same exact term to refer to Jasmine Irizarry on separate occasions and during separate timeframes. So you do the math on that one. But then you go to the police and they're like, oh, no, that's not possible. Surveillance devices are really big. Like, they're the size of a brick and you would see it right away. Are you kidding me, you fucking retards? You're so stupid. You think I'm as stupid as you are? I found a tiny little black round dot, like right here, somewhere right here. In 2017, when I still had perfect vision, it was a tiny little black dot the size of the tip of a Sharpie pen. And I thought it was a black paint splatter. Then I realized there are no other black paint splatters anywhere on the wall. There's absolutely no black paint anywhere in this bathroom. And then I looked closer and I realized it had a little like eye thing in it, like a lens. And it had a little tiny wire sticking out of it that was literally cemented to the wall. I couldn't pull it off. That's a surveillance device right there, right across from my toilet, like pretty low down. So like a little bit farther down, so that like if you're sitting there with your pants down, you could see straight across to where your pants are down. Psycho perverts, right? The Greenville group seem to be trafficking a lot of illegal video footage of people using their bathrooms from this building. That's a RICO case waiting to happen, as I keep saying. And it's not just happening in this bathroom. I've experienced a lot of aggression and violence when I've used other bathrooms in the common areas of this building. When, you know, within 30 seconds of me going into that bathroom, like some psycho guy on the floor starts repeatedly slamming something against the door, screaming that crazy bitch is in his bathroom, when I've only been in there for like a minute or two. And how would they know it's a female in there, since I wasn't making any noise and nobody was in the hallway or anywhere in the common area when I went into that bathroom? There are also surveillance devices in the common bathrooms of this building, so that the many sex offenders that the Greenville group are cramming, not just in this building, but in the building across the street, can get their jollies by watching people using the toilet, not just in this bathroom, but in other bathrooms of this building. And that is that's a severe crime, because sometimes children visit some of the residents in this building and the children use the common bathrooms. And if there's video devices in those bathrooms, these tiny little dots called micro dots stuck in the common bathrooms, then that is a dissemination of child pornography if they're filming children using the common bathrooms in this building, which they are. Because if they're filming me when I go in there and some crazy psycho starts screaming and shouting outside of the door within 1 minute of me going into that bathroom and nobody having seen me going up and down the hall because all the doors are closed and there was nobody else standing around, then they are filming people in the common bathrooms of this building as well. Again, I just left a voicemail for the Greenville group at 10:10 a.m. today. Today's Thursday, May 8th. It is now around 10:15. And this is a very aggressive, highly illegal form of landlord-tenant harassment. I don't care what your legal justification is for engaging in surveillance against a given tenant. There's no justification for using surveillance devices in their bathroom, and especially not around the toilet. There's nothing that could possibly justify that. If they think that I'm somehow part of like a domestic terrorist group, they can audio what I say in my living space, but there's nothing that goes on in this bathroom that could justify the use of video surveillance devices. Like, what do they think I'm going to do in here? Start packing up pounds of cocaine that I'm storing in my shower? Yeah. I mean, there's been surveillance devices in here long enough for them to know that that's absolutely not what would ever happen in here. And they're just doing it for harassment purposes.